And also make it possible to share screen.
Okay.
So here we are.
So we are very pleased to be with you and your students online, of course. Okay. Well, the first slides are probably known and are about the relation between Plaza de España and the structure of Madrid, including Madrid Rio. That's, as you know, we were working with Ginés as a partner 10 years ago. And for us, there are very strong relationship between the fabric of the city and the geology and the system of hydrological structures. So for us, Madrid is the result of the mankind action and the water action in the territory. This is the first master plan of Madrid in the middle of the 20th century. And we can see here, we can see very clear how the footprints of the little creeks and rivers and all the water lines draw the structure of the city. So the city actually is the result of the structure of the river. The main streets, the main avenues are exactly on top of the main creeks we had in the past. And for us, this is a very important rule. This is another drawing of this master plan, and it's very, very interesting because it's the footprint of the water underneath the city. And all these creeks and lines remains today as some very important avenues or highways in some sense. Go ahead. So on top of this grid of this network, we can recover a new green structure, a new green network, which is the main condition is to link green spaces or to link with little green spaces, big green spaces. Plaza de España is an example of this. Madrid Rio is there. When Madrid Rio was first a big structure, as you know, probably Ginés told you, it's a structure more than 7 kilometers long. And we developed not only a landscape project, but a master plan for the next 20 years with different branches to the west and to the east to connect with the green different open spaces and public spaces. And Plaza de España was then, in that moment, was one of these branches, green branches inside, going to the center. You know, this is the river, the new project we made 10 years ago. We are very close to Plaza de España in this spot, and we recovered on top of the tunnels because we built a new green corridor, a new green structure with this kind of quality. And Plaza de España was the first arm to the east, towards the center of the city. As you can see here, Plaza de España is the next link, the next step to penetrate from the Casa de Campo on the river, from this green structure we recovered to the center. It's like the head of an octopus with green arms. And afterwards, in the future, from this spot, again, go to the center and making more pedestrian and more green the main avenues, just to the real center, to the very center of the city. But Plaza España was in the past. You know, this is the first plan of Madrid of the middle of the 17th century, in the middle of the 17th century. And Plaza España was just in the end of the city, just in this point where the city ends to the west. And this is the first Royal Palace of Madrid. This is the space where the plaza is now. And then in that time, it was an orchard related with a little creek, which was going down to the river, just in front of the Royal Palace. And in the 19th century, in the 18th century, at the end of the 18th century, this space was completely changed because headquarters of military a military installation was built in the place of this orchard. But in the beginning of the 20th century, these barracks were demolished, and again appears a special space connecting the river with the city. This is the you can see here there the void.
This is the void of the square, void, the future
creek,
square.
The creek going to the river.
This is Royal Palace. Okay.
And this is the barracks. The barracks built at the end of the 18th century. Another barrack for horses was built in this triangle. So it was an operation of the Charles II, reinforcing our surroundings with 2 or 3 barracks or headquarters. And in the beginning of the 20th century, these were demolished, and a new space appears, very, very important to connect the city with the river. But in the 70s, the last year, highway was built here in order to connect one of the axes to the east-west of the city. And again, the space was cutted, completely cutted with this. This is a highway over a structure, so it's elevated, and this splits the space in one part to the city, another part to the river. And with the competition that we won, we want to avoid again this infrastructure for cars and connect again the spaces as a new value, connecting the center, the Royal Palace, the other parks, the river, everything with a little link. More than 3,000 hectares were connected again for public spaces. This is the first project of Plaza España in 1910. And in this project, the idea of the symbol of Spain, which is our country, and the name of the plaza was founded. But afterwards, in the 60s, everything's and the 70s, everything changes with the cars. This is the monument of our universal writer Cervantes, which was built there as a symbol, and the place carries this symbolic sense. In the war, this place was exactly a battlefield with cannons. You can see there Quixote with a flag and a cannon defending the city. So it was a place, the symbolism of this place was incredible. And in the 60s appears a new kind of symbolism, which is the power of the money of some developers, very well related with Franco, the dictator. So the plaza is not only for Cervantes as a symbol of literature, but is a symbol of the new economy in Spain, with the the highest two buildings in concrete in Europe in that years, in the beginning of the 60s, in the last century. So this character of symbolism is very, very strong. Here you can see the plaza and the highway cutting this square with trees from the other green spaces. So was necessary, was needed to reconnect everything. This was our main statement.
Fernando, let me explain.
Yeah. No, you can speak from now if you want.
No. I would like to just make one point to you. Which is in the last years, Madrid had a very poor quality of air, and after a very long discussion and the pressure of the European economic community, it was decided to take out the cars from the city, to not to let the cars get in the city. Plaza Espana is just in the border of the old city, which is the old city, the main center of the city, and this decision led to having the competition, because the square was, as you saw before, was covered by a highway, but also to travel from one side to the other of the city. One of the main streets, which is Gran Via, was going through this square, this plaza. And that means that when it was stated that you could not cross the city, but you have to surround it in order to keep the air as clean as possible, and only people who are resident in the city can go in, or if you go, you have to go and park in a parking lot, but not freely in the city, and you cannot cross the city, but you have to go around. And that means that this space was changed, because instead of not in a place where almost 60,000 cars were passing every day.
Per day.
Yeah, per day. It changed to a place where the cars will have to surround. It's an entry to the center, but also is this change of behavior in how the traffic works. It changed the actual surface of the plaza. Okay, I'm going back to where we were. So here is the Gran Via, where 60,000 cars were entering in the city, and so there are no more cars doing this. So this led us the opportunity to link both these green areas with the main square. So the decision of the global city made a very big impact in this part of the city. You see here this highway going in a tunnel here, and what we propose here in the competition is that once we have this tunnel, to continue the tunnel instead of letting it go over to the surface. We propose the tunnel to go all the way to the other side of the green zone. So in this way, everything is pedestrian and connected on the surface, and we have a structure of tunnels going passing by. Here we were talking about four main decisions which were stated in these four main ideas. The first one was the changing the structure of the traffic. So instead of putting through, it's going around, and making this very big infrastructure, which is a tunnel that is almost 1 kilometer long. And we don't let the cars who are passing by to come to the surface. They have to pass by. The other main decision is that all the pedestrians can go and can
Walk, connect.
without barriers and in a very flat area, everything with very smooth slopes. So everything is, which was very difficult because as Fernando was explaining before, this space was in a reef, and there have been many different levels, and we have to tie them. The third question here was to connect the green zones and the biodiversity and bringing the nature inside to the center of Madrid, which is you can say this is the main street of Madrid, which is the more commercial and where it's full of people every day of the year.
It's like Broadway. It's like Broadway in Manhattan.
More or less, yeah. And the fourth, we say, main idea is how to integrate the heritage we have in the earth, in the ground, because as you saw in the pictures before, there was here a very big building, and also here in these under these spaces, we knew that there were old buildings in those grounds
Underneath. So
yeah,
with the work, we were sure that during the works we will find remains of buildings from the 18th century, and we have found it. During the works they appear there.
Okay, I would like to also state another thing is that this is the Royal Palace, so it means here it was like the main power when Spain was an empire. It was here where they have that power. Once Spain started to decline its power, a lot of buildings were developed here, and this space is where, like, the prime minister was set. This is before we have this square, when this was a military headquarters. So of course the prime minister was very close to the royal palace, and now this is the Senate of Spain. So it has all this space is linked with the power. But when they decided to do this Plaza Espana, which is it has a name, a very powerful name for Spain because it's the name of the country, they wanted to build here like the ministers, some public buildings with so in the beginning it was thought this Spain was thought as something with linked to the power, but at the end, all the buildings are private buildings, are hotels mainly, and So there is no symbolic building which is presiding the square, which is strange, because the main squares of the old cities have normally a town hall, something like that, no? So something very strange for this, because it's the name of the country, and at the same time doesn't have an institution to preside the space, but two private buildings. In any way, has a symbolic meaning with that, but in the last years, because it was cut by the highway, this was like an end, and
A cul-de-sac.
a cul-de-sac. It didn't, because it didn't have a continuity in the space. This space was really bad treated and full of homeless people without house. Also, we think, and as it is now, with the continuity, we are solving a lot of problems of homeless people, because now the continuity helps to that. Okay, well, the mayor who did this competition was very left town hall. Now we have a right town hall again, but they wanted to make the people participate in the ideas of the plaza. So the competition we won had two steps. One of them was a jury of professionals, and then they decided to that the people should vote the project. So we enter in something that very strange for us, because we have never been in an election like as a politician, and but almost 200,000 people voted in how they wanted to you see here more than 200 people voted this is how they voted. Most people, a lot of people voted by web. You could vote in pools or by mail. Okay, so and we were said that only the young people will vote, and mostly they will do it by web. But at the end, we have here this. We found that there was two steps. Okay, but in the voting, we have less votes in the web that by mail or in the polls. And one thing we discovered is that most people they were telling us that the people who will vote will be very young, and at the end, the people who voted were mostly over 65. So this was very strange for us also, and they voted by mail. So I think this means that, I mean, when in Spain or in Madrid, you get a letter from the town hall, everybody gets scared a little bit, because if they don't know if it's a fine or something like that. And a lot of people, well, they didn't throw it away, and they decided to participate more than in relation with the gender, almost the same. Okay, but we have this this potent.
We have no much time. Let's.
Okay.
I think we must. Yes. Well.
Okay, so this is a drawing explaining the discontinuities we had to do with the we had when we started with the project. We have barriers here, barriers on the way that didn't let us have discontinuity. This for us was one of the main problems because this height was almost the same as this one. This square, this garden. So if we could remove the highway, we could link in a horizontal level all the spaces. You know? This is what it looks the part before. Here you see there are not much trees, and the reason is because when they built these two big buildings, they didn't put a parking lot under it or a parking space for all the parkings, and they had to build this very big parking lot. So here is very difficult to put trees. We have this really main street, which goes to the Plaza, and here is the main idea is we have a very energetic Plaza in the sense that a lot, I mean, if there is a demonstration or it's a concert or any kind of event in which a lot of people is going to be, it's very, this space is thought by to that to have any kind of activities in a urban space in the center of the city. And the other part of the project is mainly mainly the idea of a linkage between the green areas. No, so there are like two sides of the project, one more urban and hard, and other which is more soft and green. Fernando, si quieres,
well, it's important. No, it's important to understand. Well, this is no. I think let's see the plans. Let's see the plans. Okay, let's see first the plan of underground. Next. Okay, I think it's difficult to understand, but this street here.
Okay. Here's the Royal Palace. This is the space of the square, and we have here the two main green areas. Okay, this is the Gran Via, which is the main street.
So the traffic remains here on surface, but the traffic inside from this point to this part to the east is more controlled. No one can, not everybody could go inside. Only authorized vehicles. So here is a street on surface. Here is a street on the surface. Here the street goes under a structure.
Fernando, we don't see your.
Sorry.
Okay. No. Before the competition, we have a lot of traffic going like that, doing this, and also this. This is changed. So all the traffic has to go like that. Most of the traffic surrounding the city. This is the entrance to the city. If you go to the city, you go in, but most of the traffic doesn't go to the center of the city, but go around it. So we try to develop a strategy in which this traffic is you have to link to it. Okay. Fernando, sigue, perdona.
No, es que sin ratón es muy difícil. So I'm trying to explain because it's difficult the level of the cars. So the level in the project, after winning the competition, we put cars underneath in 2 tunnels. Si quieres señalarlos, Lorenzo, 2 tunnels. One tunnel from this point to this point, another tunnel from this point to this point. So in these 2 stretches, the cars disappear on the surface, and all this space is pedestrian. But we decide there are 2 streets which remains, which are the street going from the river to the south to the north, and the other from the city center. Yes, this is to the west and to the east. Here we show another infrastructures we have refurbishing or recovering, which is the parking lot, is a space for the services for the cleaning of the city, and the Senate of Spain. And we connect with our tunnels these infrastructures, existing infrastructures that we have previously disconnected. Let's go to the surface.
Yeah, this is here we have a previous tunnel, which also was thought for the traffic to go this way, and because in all this is pedestrian now, we reduce it as a building. So we use it as a building for the cleaning
services.
So
let's see the plan. So this is the surface with all these things are for pedestrians except this street from the river to the center. But this street goes under a big plaza over a structure, and everything now is pedestrian, connecting Madrid Rio, Royal Palace, and the Park of the West. And as you see in the square of the plaza, the rectangle, there is a space for events and every activity, urban activity we can develop there. And we, of course, wanted to remain every tree we have previously. And let's go to the images to understand the transformation from, this is the situation, previous situation, and this is the new situation.
This is
you can see perfectly the highway there.
The square, here's the Royal Palace. So.
And this is the new situation. We have make a big plaza on top of the cross of the cars there. And very important, we connect in the same level the gardens there, which before were completely in other position, a lower position without connection. Okay. This is the idea. This is the first part of the plaza. In this circle, everything is possible. Everything is possible in this space because the floor is equipped with every installation. This is the connection with the Royal Palace. The cars are disappear, and the levels, the different levels now are dealing with the big gardens. So we have different levels. One is the street nearby the houses, and the other level with a new structure is on the level of the gardens.
We have 15 minutes left, so I don't know if Rick, if they want to ask some question or
we can see some photograph of the works, Lorenzo.
Yeah, the presentation is phenomenal. I'd rather see more photographs, and we could diminish the questions.
Well,
yeah,
I think it's important to speak 2 minutes about heritage, because we have found different elements underneath, and we we needed to build a new structures that were not previously thought. Look at this, for example.
Here.
Look at okay.
This is
very
the main square, the Senate. Here is where we have the highway going like that, and this is a photo taken by the royal parks. So we are making all this space for pedestrians, and under it we have the tunnel. We found this heritage. It's very well. This building that you see here, this building was I told you before where the prime minister house. Okay, and this building was going all the way here, so it was like that. And when we had this space, this garden was cavalry headquarters for, of course, the royal crown. When we had the republic, this was teared down and a garden was planted. This was really one of the ideas of the architects who did the first stage of the royal palace. So, Alberto Campo Baeza. Alberto, un abrazo. Soy Lorenzo.
Alberto.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us, Alberto.
Alberto, ¿ya estás ahí?
Sí, yes.
Okay, so we must...
¿Se oye Bach o no?
Se oye Bach.
Se oye. Yeah, we can hear.
We are hearing Bach with Alberto's headphones.
So we found this basement of the
Un saludo.
Excuse me?
Un saludo, dice.
Un saludo.
Un saludo. Lorenzo, ¿qué haces ahí?
Bueno,
What are you doing here?
what I'm doing here? Well,
Very good friend, Lorenzo.
Well, Alberto was my master. I think, changed everything for me. He was a wonderful master, a wonderful teacher, a wonderful person. So you are very lucky to have him. For us, he's, I think, not the greatest, one of the greatest architects of Spain.
No puedo yo detener. Ahora me dirán cómo quitar a mi amigo Bach, que no sé cómo quitarlo.
Okay, well, we have to...
First of all, a million of thanks. You cannot understand how moving it is for me to participate in this adventure, of this lecture. It's very, very moving for me. Thank you very, very much, Rick.
Well, Alberto, it's a pleasure to see you again. I was looking at when we did a program together at Cervantes in New York, and it was almost exactly 10 years ago. And I remembered you were quoting Whitman and I was quoting Cervantes, but it was about the work of young architects in Spain. It wasn't about, at that point, your work. So here we are. And we've been fortunate this week to have the opportunity to meet with some younger architects and some of your former students, and you know, we're learning a lot about Madrid and now about the recent work at Plaza Espana. So thank you for joining a little bit early. Let's continue.
How many minutes we have?
You know, let's just combine these, you know, and go as long as you like, and later for Alberto's presentation, if you can both do that.
I try to be short. You know that, Rick, my father was a surgeon and he was teaching sometimes, and he said, he pronounced a very Spanish expression, el orador, the lecturer who doesn't move the heart is moving your ass. Spanish, with the Spanish word is el orador que no mueve los corazones, mueve los isquiones. Los isquiones son los huesos
Great.
del cuerpo.
I will have to use that and then think that. Think that. So
Alberto,
Alberto, give us another 10 minutes and we'll complete at least the images and maybe have time for a few questions about the project.
The images are ready in
Alberto, ¿nos oyes?
PowerPoint.
Alberto, ¿nos oyes?
Sí, perfectamente.
Lo que te decía Rick es que estábamos terminando de explicar Plaza de España
Sí.
y que luego querían hacer unas preguntas y entonces
10 minutos.
podemos terminar y luego pasas tú, ¿te parece?
Sí, perfecto, perfecto. Yo puedo desaparecer un ratito.
No desaparezcas, todo lo contrario.
Perfecto,
No te vayas.
Estoy esperando el trocito que terminéis. Thank you very much. I'm ready to be on silence.
Okay, thank you.
Just for 10 minutes.
So, Lorenzo, tell us about the building we find and how we solve the integration of the building in the project. So we find many things underneath, and we must to solve in different ways how to integrate the heritage in the new project. No, so we can some examples here. For example, the first, the palace of the Prime Minister. Lorenzo, abre una diapositiva grande, por favor. Y vamos.
Estoy buscando un momento. Aquí está.
So you can see here the new structure and the building that we must now restore and make it visible as a new roof, which is actually a green roof and is a part of the garden on surface. This is one of the ways we have developed to integrate this kind of remains. This is one example. Another example is the arches. Había una foto de los túneles donde se ven los arcos primero y luego pasamos a cómo lo estamos reconstruyendo.
Pero un momento. No puede ser.
Probably it's too long Ahí tienes los arcos. This is another structure we find suddenly. We were building the tunnel in a way which is put first the walls and after the roof, and we take the earth in the last step. And when we were taking off the earth, we found these arches, and we cut them and we put them on the surface. Podemos ver una foto en que se estaban cortados. Más arriba. Here, this is the arches cut with a skeleton of steel prepared to pick it up and put it in the garden in the same way we found it. Well, so the idea is to explain that during the works we knew that probably we found this kind of remains, and we wanted to make it visible in the project. So there are. This is probably the final image, and we can see the project as a result of linking different areas. On the left, we see the road before the 60s. In the center, we see the highway and a tunnel in front of the Royal Palace. And this is the project, the result of our proposition, which is connect the Royal Palace with this green area in different levels, integrating in one hand the remains, historical and heritage remains, and the other hand integrating the green spaces from the river to the center of the city. So sorry for the presentation, it was a real chaos, but Alberto arranged it, fixed it with its appearance at the end.
The presentation was amazing. It brought together all the strands that we were trying to better understand about the city as a whole, issues of connectivity, as I mentioned before, but also of bringing nature back into the center of the city.
Yeah.
Recognizing heritage, but also making transformations that talk to contemporary manners of living. So it does all that. I have many, many questions. I wish we had another hour or two to maybe over a beer in Madrid at some point in the future. But the key question that I feel compelled to ask is, now that it's open, how has the popular reaction been? Is it a unifier, both politically and culturally, or how has it been received?
Okay, it has been amazing. It was opened in November 22nd without finishing everything. So there are 20% closed and 80% open. This was a political decision of the mayor because he wants to open something before the Christmas time. And it was incredible, and now is incredible. It's crowded, more than thousands of people coming, crossing, connecting. So it was the people was hungry to connect, to walk from the Royal Palace to the center of the city and to the West Park to the center of the city. Look at this.
Wow, amazing.
Look at this.
Yeah.
This is the part we opened, which is the Plaza, which is the square. And this, the second day of the opening. And it was an event here about lighting, but from this day, thousands of people are coming, are going, are walking, are enjoying the new park. There are some spaces for playgrounds, completely full of children, They are this is one example. Yes.
Well,
this is before the opening, because this is only for the photographs. Now are hundreds of children here. So the success for the public is this. You can see here the arches now rebuilt on top. So your question is very important. I think people need this space because now it's completely full of people, from the early morning to the night.
Well, we were talking before the presentation started about how the pandemic, at least in New York, and I think worldwide, has changed perceptions of the importance of public space, the need to be outside, the ways of connecting that are safe. This was happening anyway. It draws on a culture of the appreciation of public space in Madrid, in Spain. But it's so important symbolically, on every level. I'm so delighted to hear you both explain it today. And I can't wait to come see it at some point in the not too distant future.
Yes, we need you here.
Well, I think we all need to be in other places than the ones.
No, in Spain, pandemia has closed people at home, as in the United States, and everybody wants, as a maniac, to go outside.
Yeah,
it was incredible. The first day the blackout was opened. Everybody was to the street walking, and as you know, in the last photograph we have sent, si quieres, Lorenzo, muestra otra vez la fotografía del día de. This is not an extraordinary event. This photograph. This is what the people wants.
Yeah.
To go outside, to enjoy the reunion of people, to enjoy the open air spaces, terraces, bars, and benches to sit, space to skate, to play. This is the center of Madrid, actually.
Oh, bravo, amazing, thank you. if there's anyone among the students who have a compelling question to ask to conclude, I've been talking too much as usual. Please, questions for Lorenzo or Fernando? And if not, we'll make the transition.
I think our explanation was very, very bad, at least fresh.
Derry, I see your hand up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Fernando and Mr. Lorenzo. I just want to ask about the maintenance aspect of the public space in Madrid. Could you tell us a little bit more about how to manage and maintenance about the public space in Madrid? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. There are two levels of maintenance in Madrid. And it's related with the contracts of with the different companies. The maintenance of the public space in Madrid is contract which relates private companies with the city, public city, 4 years. So every 4 years, you have a contract to maintain the city, and there are two levels. The normal level to normal squares and streets, and special level and singular level for this kind of spaces like Madrid Rio or Plaza de Espana. And we must, at the beginning of the project, we must work in order to declare this space a singular space, because you have more money to. Everybody knows that it could be a very intense use in these spaces, so the maintenance is harder, are more difficult, and we have now organized a special plan only for have a special maintenance with a special contract. Just next month it begins to have in perfect state the space. So there are two levels, and this is the highest level in the city.
Thank you so much.
Great question. Let's make the transition. Fernando, Lorenzo, please stay on if you have the time, if you can. No obligation, but you're more than welcome to do so. Alberto, I will not do a long introduction because there's so much I could say. I've sent biographical and links and whatnot to not only on your architecture and your academic career, but also on your writings to the students. I won't repeat all of that except to commend you also on the high honor received, in Spain with the architectural award the year before last. I remember when you were in New York and there was an exhibition of your work concurrent with the Brunner Award, and then the exhibition at the Urban Center. It was at that time, Spanish architects are not very much known in New York for whatever reason, and I don't know if it was linguistic or otherwise. We were seeing the British invasion. It was like the Beatles coming, and many British firms, a couple of French architects. You sort of broke through the mold, and not only for your own work, but as I was saying at the Cervantes Institute, you inaugurated an exhibition of work of young architects, some of whom were in our program today. My friend Maria Atado and others were there. But your career has been phenomenal, and I think the testimony that you received, earlier a moment ago from Lorenzo as mentor, as master, as professor, is that for hundreds and maybe more than that of people, some of whom I know, Rocio Cavajo, others who learned at your feet. We're delighted that you're here as the closer, which is to say you could take as long as you want, if we all could linger all day. But we've had the privilege of speaking with other people through the course of the week, many of whom maybe a few others. Javier Cami from AECOM may not be familiar to you, but our sense of Madrid has grown proportionally, almost concentrically, like the ring roads. I think what we're hoping from your presentation is to get a sense of, well, maybe it's the significance, the beauty, the power of what design can do to positively impact people's lives. But that's not putting words in your mouth. These are all things that you've talked about so much in your writings and through your work. I don't want to take more time than I have done already. I talked too much as an introduction, but I am so delighted that you're here with us today. I can't thank you enough. And the floor is yours. You can share your screen when you're ready, and we'll stay with you as long as you have. Alberto, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I go to introduce the, ¿cómo se llama PDF?
PowerPoint.
The PowerPoint with some images. First of all, I would like to thank Rick for his invitation. For me, it's an honor to have this opportunity to connect and to have this lecture or something like that with Columbia University. At the beginning, I didn't understand exactly what type of lecture you were speaking about, sustainability and this type of questions, very overwhelmed. And I said, I go maybe to speak much better about beauty. I am 75 years old, and when you are becoming older and older, and you discover what are the most important central questions in our labor. Our labor, like architects, is, I think, I am convinced that our labor is the most beautiful. It's overall students, a student who you are listening this morning, this lecture. This is the most beautiful labor all over the world. I am convinced, and I'm sure that Rick is convinced also, and Lorenzo and Fernando also. Lorenzo was one of my best students, and I am very proud to be here today. And about the need for beauty in Columbia University. No puedo estar viendo los de la izquierda, no, bueno. Do you remember this poet? This poet is one of the best Spanish poets. Is Federico García Lorca. And our Federico García Lorca was studying and living in Columbia University. And this picture, very, very known and very famous picture, is at Columbia University. He's seated on a podium, and the podium is supporting a black onyx sphere. And what is that? And I remember one of maybe this image corresponds to this travel quoted by Rick when I made the exhibition at the Urban Center. It was a very happy time for me. I received the commission to build the Espana house, and many things. It was a time, and it continues being a very happy time. And I am indicating, oram expecta veniet. The time expected is coming. And why? But at this moment, the sphere disappears. The sphere, because constructive matters, the tension, boom, disappear, but the podium rested. And always when I come back to Colombia, I come back to this place and I took some pictures and so on. This time, Rick can recognize here Angela Giral. Angela was a Spanish special woman, and she played like the librarian at Columbia, and I had with her a very special relation. She was very, very kind, and many other friends. And the other support, my other column, my other baseman is Kenneth Frampton. Kenneth has been, and he continues being, you know that Kenneth continues very healthy. I speak with him many times, and he is so generous that he wrote the last writing on me for the Rizzoli book that is coming very soon, and for many things. Kenneth, my Kenneth. And why beauty? Why I think, are you convinced that beauty is the center more than sustainability? Yes, sustainability, the best architecture has been always sustainable, always sustainable. The Roman pieces, the Pantheon continues. Adriano renovated, and it continues being sustainable in every way. But overall is translation and materialize the beauty. And when I was received some years ago in my Royal Academy of Beaux-Arts in Madrid, I entitled my discourse like Buscar denodadamente la belleza, looking for or seeking relentlessly the beauty. Is to recognizing that is in the center of our ideas. You remember that Plato defined veritatis splendor. The splendor of the truth is the beauty. And after our Vitruvio said about before Venustas is beauty, students. I hope sometimes just now it is very curious how the new generations for them speak in Latin with Latin words, utilitas, firmitas, venustas, but they understand function, construction, beauty. These 3 points of support. But the last point, or the first point, is the beauty. It is necessary to accomplish with the function. It is necessary to build perfectly. And after is coming the beauty, is confirming that the other 2 points are true. Sustainability, an architecture is sustainable when this architecture accomplish the 3 conditions. Sustainability. Espérate ahora porque esto no quiere. And Rick suggests to put 2 projects to speak about the sports pavilion in Madrid and a competition for housing, social housing in Madrid. This sport pavilion that is, I am very happy with the results and images, this is not the moment to describe the function, but it's very clear. Is the pavilion and with classrooms building on the right in this section, and the swimming pool in the cave. And details, it is necessary, the firmitas, the construction to be an architect, students, architect, an architect. I always defend, and Rick and Fernando and Lorenzo, they understand perfectly. The most important are the ideas. If you have not ideas, I entitled my first book, I wrote a lot of books. My first book was The Built Idea. It is necessary to have an idea, but this idea must be capable to be built. It is necessary to construct, to these firmitas. For example, when I was constructing the truss, the composed beams, in one moment I decide, it is because I put this image, I decide to paint before to put on the roof. It is easier to paint on the ground floor that to paint, and the first composite beams were without paint, not painted. And I decide, okay, go to paint before to elevate. And to construct, when I decide eliminate the column in the corner, you remember that Miss Van der Rohe in one moment decide the column in the corner must disappear to underline the likeness, to underline the continuity and so on. And it was very easy, but always it is because I like to proclaim, to try that it is necessary to build perfectly, not with perfection. The good architecture permits defects, but it is necessary, but must be resolved. This one is the corner where the column has disappeared, but the beams must be add compose diagonal elements to support well. And why and how finally to make pedagogically clear. When I put this glass in the corner, this corner in glass, I put the sample glass, and Rick can protest. But sustainability. Yeah, but I study very well the percentage of the other walls in my building were very well. I decided at the beginning this building was completely translucent. Finally, in one moment I decide 2 walls opaque against the south to protect, and 2 walls to the north translucent. This is collaborators. You always are quoting, we are quoting our closer collaborators, but never, and here I was very proud of my workers, and I said, I like a picture with you. They were making perfectly. The steps are covered with big pieces of ceramic tiles, enormous, and they made perfectly. Like this one, white. The light is beautiful. The composed beams, the truss are manifesting its power. The light is entering perfectly, and every detail collaborating to underline the idea are built. Stereo, the corner one more time, and this corner maybe is capable to summarize many ideas of this building. The second building is only a project that maybe Rick was very proud. He said, Alberto is speaking about sustainability. And of course, I was using because, okay, plans are very precise and perfect, but overall sections. And this is the famous Canadian wells. Yes, our Canadian wells. This is a thermal labyrinth. Yes, this is a thermal labyrinth. And our mechanisms capable, the thermal labyrinth is to have a cave, in the cave, and a space in a very simple way to transform in the winter to get a hot air, and in the summer to get a fresh air. And this type of questions, very simple, that I think can be resolved, but they are not the central question, are questions helping to make the most sustainable, like this one. The glass coffin on the balcony is a very old mechanism in my city, in Cádiz, in the south of Spain. Is always this balconies with mechanism capable to work. And no more. And it's not necessary to explain this one. And some ideas that I try to translate. In this one is just now I am making, is under construction, one building by me with my collaborator is on the left in this image is Miguel Quismondo, a young Spanish architect, very, very, very good. And we are both of us designing and just building. This one, espérate, vamos a ver si aparece aquí. This one is under construction, but and I am very, very proud. I'm very happy. But before the idea is an isotropic space. It's a cubical space with a hole in every corner in such a way that the sun has always a point, a hole to enter, and two tenths. I like to speak when they say, "Oh, Mr. Campo Baeza, you are the architect of the light." No, the light is the light for an architect is like the air for a music. Could you imagine that someone saying, "Oh, Mr. Beethoven, you are the music of the air"? No, the air is necessary to music. Light is necessary, and the light is also tuning, like a musical instrument, tuning the space. And this one is the idea. This space is a pavilion for arte povera, some pieces by my clients. They are incredible. They are very, very, very good people, very cultivated, very generous. Remember this exhibition at the Urban Center. In the Urban Center that day was Massimo Vignelli. You remember, Rick? Massimo?
Of course.
And Massimo introduced to me the couple, Olnik Spanu, Nancy Olnik and Giorgio Spano, and he said, "Alberto, you go to make a house for them." And it was true. And just now,
I wondered how you'd met.
it was magnificent. And in this pavilion, the central space is this one for special cubicle where the light will be the protagonist. After I like to not to be long, but to speak it. The Gaspar house was a house like a box open to the sky, and in the center of the house. It's very simple, very, very simple. It's Hortus Conclusus, and very well known, very simple. Is the most economic piece that I built. And on the opposite was the Belvedere family, or maybe we should speak about archetypes. Is instead of like here on the opposite and on the top another piece, Belvedere. And with this idea of Belvedere is my last building built, a house in Madrid, in the outskirts of Madrid, the Rotonda house, because compositively, we will say, and that this family, the first was the Blas house, was exactly the same. The only Espana house belongs to this collection of archetypes, and also the Rufo house. That's this Rotonda house. Why Rotonda house? Because I use some classical mechanisms like the double axiality, and it's so simple, no more. We could analyze, but it is not necessary. I like not only in other type of plans, but also in my sketches to see and to demonstrate that we are analyzing every detail. Models. Sometimes they say, Alberto, you are making a lot of models, but don't you discover renders? I said, okay, but could you imagine to put a render under the sun? Never happens. But with the model is the 3 dimensions in a simultaneous way, and it's possible to work and a model that is not only to translate the last solution, but it's a very good student. It's a very, very good instrument to analyze and to continue. It is because I make many, many, many models. Plans, the type plan with this double axiality, and the top with where the Belvedere is, looking at the city in a so beautiful. The only thing that my client, she is very special, and she was protesting. She protested. Oh, Alberto, when I am in the glass box in this Belvedere, everybody can see me, of course, and you can see everybody, of course. But is the story is very long, but we are in the más alto, on the top of a hill, and it's a very special. You can dominate, control the 360 degrees. Not only the city, but the mountains and so on. And the podium is made in stone, and the top is glass and no. Antemenos. And after to make buildings like that, I made buildings where disappear. This drawing you cannot recognize in a first moment, but it's made by John Hudson. Do you remember Hudson wrote a very famous writing, plateau platforms, speaking about the flat horizontal plane on the top of the forest, and this one is Atemenos. Atemenos, that is a very old idea. ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Dónde está el Partenón? The Acropolis in Athens is Atemenos, and on the top is the temple, but the Temenos, where the gods were coming to speak and to meet the human beings. And for this house of the infinite, in front of the sea, with a weather very special, you are looking at the horizon. The horizon is the infinite, but after this horizon is Africa. Africa is, we are in front of Africa. And I decide no more, because the weather is so good that it is possible to be living on the top, on this plan. This plan is not only to say, oh my God, no, it's to be living every day and to enjoy with is in the first line and so on. And using the same idea, I built a plan, a flat horizontal plan in Cádiz, in my city, between the cathedrals, to look at the sea in a very, and when the cars were crossing in front of, because this position elevated will disappear. And a house of the infinite. And what is that? Why, Mr. Campo Baeza, if you are speaking about the Temenos and you are speaking about the flat horizontal plane, are you taking Rembrandt? Rembrandt in this famous scene, the Litostrotos in Latin, and ¿cómo se llamaba en griego? Era él. And Rembrandt is making a very architectonic mechanism, a trick. Do you remember Miss van der Rohe? Miss van der Rohe one day said, oh, Rembrandt was designing this horizontality with a ruler. It's so perfect. It's perfect. And Miss van der Rohe said, okay, go to make the same in the farmhouse house, to put the horizontal plane in coincidence with your eyes. And the plane is converted in a line. This is a mechanism. It's not an idea, it's a mechanism. I like to distinguish between ideas and mechanisms in architecture. The poor Leiden no he didn't make this one, and we can see the plane complete. Rembrandt made like this, and many years after, Picasso said, and Picasso is using his language, but the horizontal line is perfect, is inspired in Rembrandt, like Mies van der Rohe, and me like Mies, like Rembrandt, like Picasso. And this house on the first line on the beach in Tarifa, Cádiz, in front of Africa, is like this one. The house is like made in sand with travertine and models, plans. Plans are not important because it's very simple. This is now at the moment to explain how servant spaces, servant spaces, and so on. But the most important is how the building, this temenos, this podium is embedded into the ground. And what is making Mr. Campo Baeza like a clown here? He's deciding exactly where the plan must be. This one. And I decided here, the dimension in vertical, what is the dimension in coincidence with our eyes and so on. Is to speak, and only students take note. To be precise, architecture, like music, needs to be precise, to be precise. Pa, 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 and after, because the idea is clear, the translation is clear, the dimensions are clear, and also the material. Why travertine? This travertine has some stems to be confounded with the sand, the same color and the sand. After, with the same idea, I designed that maybe is coming, maybe this year will be under construction, the salt mines in Canary Island, are salt mines in front, one more time, in front of the sea, of the Atlantic Ocean, and the idea is more or less the same. The idea of a building embedded and making a plan. And to finish, one of my last projects is in a row of beginning, the Cultural Center in Tecuan, Mexico. This is Jalisco, Mexico, you know, and they said to me, Alberto, we have some rocks into the sea, you are free to decide the function. And I said, okay, go to make a plane on the top, one more time at the menos, to enjoy the place, to enjoy the sea, to enjoy the Pacific Ocean, and to create this plane, it is necessary to build a box, and the functions for the box, everything is possible. The box will be in concrete. The concrete will be with the same color and texture like the rocks, and will be open. The birds cross the building. The water will enter in the building, and so on. And one more time, trying to look for the beauty. And to finish, why I finish with this design, with this drawing by Goya. Maybe, I don't know if you know the Spanish language, Rick, but this is by Goya, and he wrote, Aún aprendo, I am still learning. He was 64 years old. He wrote 54, but I discovered that was 64, not 54. And if Goya was learning with 64, me with 75 years, I am still learning. I'm very happy to learn. I'm very happy with your invitation for speaking this morning at Columbia University. I love Columbia. You know that I spent my 2 sabbatical years at Columbia University.
That was around 20 years ago.
Very, very happy. And I use every Christmas to go to New York and so on, but this year and the last year was impossible. But I hope maybe this 2022 to go. Because you know that my classes with your friend Maria Perbellini at the NYIT, we are by the computer and we enjoy a lot. Beauty.
Alberto, thank you. This is amazing. It was exactly what I was hoping for. I can't thank you enough. I think you had written in the built idea that architects reveal the keys to architecture in their drawings, floor plans, sections, and also in their writings. And I think what we've seen today shows how all that comes together. I think in something that you wrote recently, you were quoting a translation of Aristotle's Protrepticus, that it said that which is the expression of wisdom and the manifestation of wise thought. So I feel so lucky, and on behalf of the students who are listening in with me today, so lucky to benefit from the wisdom of your experience. You're still learning, but we're learning from you. So thank you. The overlaps, the world is so small. Maria Perbellini and I are both on the, what is it called? The board, the steering committee of the New York Architecture Biennial. And it's really been fun to work together across the academic divides. NYIT is down the street, but I'm hoping that, we could work something out that you'll come and be able to do something at Columbia to reach more people. That would be fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you, Rick. You were quoting the Protrepticus.
Yeah, well,
by
picking up on what you were doing.
But you know that it's a disappeared book.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced that one day it will appear. And I am searching and investigating and so on. And the classical culture, what important is. Thank you very, very much.
Well, one other thing, one other image that you were showing was in the relation, the Vitruvian relation of firmitas utilitas, of firmness, commodity, and delight in English. Delight is also translated in English as beauty. The French translation is always beauté. It's delight is the beautiful. I've never seen that particular image where the triangle is subsumed into a square. And I was saying yesterday, because this was also part of a presentation, that the thing that always seemed to me to be missing in the triad was how people intersect. It's not just about the functionality or the commodity or the usefulness, but it was about the sense of bringing people together. The communitatis was the missing element in the Vitruvian triad. And the square led to that opportunity. So I appreciate that drawing, which I'd not seen before. Your work is amazing. The precision, the beauty, it speaks for itself. I don't have to interpret it. It's there, and I'd like to have time for the students to ask questions and react. But there was one other thing that I read, is that when you were in New York in the apartment of your clients, you were blown away. You were amazed by the Rothko on the wall. There was a painting by Mark Rothko that helped to define that apartment for your estimation. You have, in all of your work, as was seen in the images, religiously avoided the use of color. The monochromatic, the white, allows, as you've written, the play of light naturally to occur without the distortion of color. Can you talk about how color then comes into the equation? or not, you know, by the setting, by the nature, by the art, you know, by the use, by the people. That would be my first question.
You are proposing a very classical question that I try to respond to myself many, many times. I not only because this Rothko, you are quoting the Rothko, my clients, they have a very especially beautiful Rothko in blues. Blues is not common. Rothko always introduce red and orange and so on. But the piece by my clients are in blue and green and especially good. And but this question I try to respond by the hand of Luis Barragan. With Barragan, one of my masters, this Mexican master, used always color. I try in some of my projects to introduce more color, and always I continue working and the color disappear. And I said, okay, why if you are like Bach, why what do you prefer, Bach or Wagner? I prefer Bach. I prefer to be closer to Bach. But Bach is always white. Yes, okay, but I adore Bach. You understand perfectly. But it's a question that he was I was worried so long. Just now I'm not worried.
I could talk forever, and I do much too much. I'd like to open it up for everyone on the Zoom, my students, others who've joined, and Fernando and Lorenzo. Thank you so much for staying on, and please feel free. Fernando, you're muted. Feel free to be part of the discussion. If you have some observations or reflections or thoughts, that would be great. Fernando.
Of course, we were here for pleasure to hear our master, so it's easy to be here.
I have an enormous admiration of your work, and your work in the Plaza de España is very good, very good.
Thank you, Alberto.
I am at this moment. This Plaza de España is full of boxes in wood for fairs. For
yes. Now they are taking it off. Tomorrow,
okay.
Tomorrow will be open.
Waiting for the day when will be clean.
Yeah.
I will go to enjoy more and more.
Oh, it would be great if
your service to the city. I think it's very important the pieces in the city to serve the city, to put this one in the best possible hands like yours.
Thank you, Alberto. No, only a reflection that Alberto knows is one of his materials about light. So Vitruvio has no speak about light, but Vitruvio speaks about, in some sense, in his tratado about sustainability, because he speaks how to select the place healthy for build a house, no? And for Alberto, which is this with this simplicity of geometry and purity and beauty in the lines, in the clean intersection between materials and planes, is the light. No, the light as a very different element who is introducing itself, exploding, sliding. So only to remark this special material he uses, taken from the nature, very sustainable at least at the end.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Fernando.
Are there questions from the students for Alberto, for that matter, for Fernando or Lorenzo? Because we truncated that portion of the presentation. Any questions before we continue? opening the discussion. Oh, and I'd also like to welcome Chintan Vora, who may be joining us this coming semester. And I'm glad you were able to sit in today. Thank you, Chintan. Questions, please. Observations, thoughts. Yes, Derry.
Very shy.
Thank you so much.
Very shy students.
Thank you so much, Professor. Could you hear me?
Yes, you're fine.
Thank you for your lecture, Professor Alberto. I'm just wanted to ask about the trend of constructions right now. In the future, there will be more off-site constructions or off-site prefabrications. And sometimes people feel it like a boring, some kind of boring design or something, like it's not so very beautiful maybe. And what is your thoughts about this trend in the future? That's all. Thank you.
Fabricación de casas en el exterior y
Prefab.
prefabricación.
Prefab. I think prefab in the same way that sustainability are terms that is important. Prefab is important, but it's only a way. It's not better if it is prefab or directly made. But I would like to make prefabrication, because with prefabrication it's possible to get more economic architecture. For example, for social housing, could be convenient, and for many other things, and many elements that you are using for your architecture are prefab before. When some centuries ago, it was necessary to produce everything, and just now, no, many things are prefab, and you are using prefab. ¿Cómo se dice la palabra? Elements, and okay, but it's important that no key question. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, professors. Thank you so much.
Other questions or thoughts? Yes, there's a shyness, but maybe intimidation as well. Yes, Lin Shi, please.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. And through this, through the lecture this week, I feel like many of you are working on building a sustainable Madrid city. So I have a question, because there are rivers near Madrid, and it makes me recall the river source water cooling system. I don't know whether or not you have ever heard of this technology, and I wonder if there are some projects in Madrid applying this technology to the project, as you know.
Fernando.
Sorry, what kind of, Alberto, what technology have you said? Sorry?
River source water cooling system. Using the river water to...
No, because our hydrological system is stational, so it depends on the season of the year. I think it's very beautiful also to have a river which changes along the year. We have many water in the spring because of the snow which is melting from the mountains, and in the summer is almost completely dry as a desert. So we haven't the possibility to use the water of the rivers for that technology in our buildings.
Thank you. Glad to hear your ideas.
Thank you for the question. You know, I'm also reflecting on all of the talks that we've heard this week, and especially what we've learned today, and the things that cities can learn from each other is at the heart of why we initiated the field study. The idea that you couldn't just read articles or go to lectures, but you had to visit places and see public plazas in use or see university facilities filled with students. We saw Paris Saclay under construction when we were in Paris 2 years ago. The regret I have, as I've expressed repeatedly, is that we're not there in person. Yet I think we've all learned about things about Madrid by the combination of individuals and offices and talents that I don't know how else we could have done. I mean, yes, being there, but is there anything that you all would suggest, and Alberto, Lorenzo, Fernando, on what we could be reading further that would talk about the transformations in Madrid? Is there a book that is coming out or that has been published recently that addresses the transformation? Because I'm a New Yorker. I was brought up to hate Los Angeles. Partly because they stole the baseball team, partly because it was a city that was dominated by cars. But the more time I spent in Los Angeles, the more I saw how it was changing and how dynamic it was, and how the car was being little by little forced out. And it wasn't about the car, it was about the life of the city. Similarly, the time I've spent in Spain has mostly been in Barcelona. My daughter studied there. For a variety of reasons, I've spent more time there. And the competition between cities, New York and Los Angeles as the first two cities in the US, Chicago the third now. I would not equate with Cadiz or even Sevilla, Toledo, but Madrid and Barcelona have always politically and economically and otherwise been rivals. Is that moment past? Is Madrid now the architectural and planning and design and conceptual center again? With the old Forum and with Juan Clos and others, Joan Clos. It seemed that Barcelona was the place to study, or as an example. And even now we hear about the super blocks and the innovations that are happening there urbanistically. As with your connections to both ETSAM and to the life of Madrid, the history of Madrid, where is Catalonia these days? Is it on the edge? And what should we be thinking about in terms of continuing our analysis of Madrid when we return to the turn to the classroom next week?
See, the university is very similar. In fact, I was in Barcelona teaching 2 years ago for a semester, a complete semester. I enjoy a lot. And the school of Barcelona he took me in with open arms, and I enjoy a lot. I spoke in Spanish with the Spanish words, no problem. I think sometimes at this moment is very difficult to analyze and to have a diagnostic. I prefer to continue working, not creating problems. Some people, politics are like in another area, and they are every day discussing for every letter, for every point, and I don't trust in them. But the cities are going and walking, and Fernando and Lorenzo, they said, and how the Plaza de España, the first day when they opened, was full of people. I every day I took for a walk long. I take for a walk long 1 hour to be convenient. My doctor said to me, I enjoy a lot, and it's full of people. The streets, the Gran Via, center. It's full of people, and I don't like to create problems between the two cities. They are not two cities, one versus Barcelona versus Madrid or the opposite. No. I think everyone has his way and no more. By the way, you know that today in Barcelona died Ricardo Bofill, died today.
Oh, no.
This morning.
I
Has died.
did not know that. With Bohigas last month, it's
And
Yes.
Boyigas
Awesome.
one time.
But I agree completely with Alberto, but things has changed. Now, people, in Madrid, people who live in Madrid is a Madrilenian. It's like everybody who is coming, he feels like it's a town to hometown. Madrid is more now in these years. Madrid is much more dynamic than Barcelona. The economy here, the investments, the developers are very dynamic in Madrid, much more than Barcelona. Barcelona was an example for all of us with the Olympics and with Boigas as a captain of the design of the city with many different little designs, not a big plan, but very good architecture in every place in the 90s of the 20th century. And now Barcelona is more sleeping. People from Barcelona coming to Madrid are quite surprised because of this use of public space, use of new areas. In Madrid in the last 10 years with Gallardón, we made Madrid Rio, which is a very important, very huge project. Now it's another huge project in the north. It's a private spot, but very big in the north called Madrid Nuevo Norte, which is the closed in the north. So I think, of course, we don't mind about fighting. We don't want to make a competition with cities. For us, it's not important. We only want to develop our work, and I think ETSAM is a cradle or a nest for many architects, which from many years ago we are working not only in Madrid but in the whole country, like Alberto, in many places of Spain and abroad. So our school, when we were taught by Alberto many years ago, has created a family of ideas, very shared between us. And I think this is a thing that we have realized when you come here. But I think now economy in Madrid is very hard, and the city is changing very quickly in some parts. I will send you a reference by mail with the last book about this operation, the only book I know, which is made by a French team, speaking about the former political period, very different than we have. But it's very interesting. I will send you. It's very interesting to see these different projects together.
That would be appreciated. Thank you. So we're at the stated closing time at noon here in New York. Must be 6 p.m. in Madrid. Is there any last comments from anyone before we wrap it up? And I express again my heartfelt thanks for everything that we've learned today and learned in the past. I see Ken Frampton frequently. He was my mentor when I was a student at Columbia, and he is, as you say, Alberto, still going strong. He's is 85 now, I think 86. And we were communicating by email, but we had lunch together last year, and he was just vibrant and so I'm glad you're in touch as well. I can't wait to come to Madrid, and I hope that we'll be able to continue the conversation in a different way. Fernando,
Okay.
Lorenzo, thank you again. It was a pleasure to meet you both today.
I only want to
Thank
say
you,
two words.
thank you.
Two words. First, congratulations, Rick, because these days, I think your election of architects has been fantastic. Not for us, for the others.
Well,
Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And we have
We
very lucky
continue
to,
at your disposal.
and we are very lucky to share the space with Alberto. For us, has been
well, you know, the
fantastic.
pairings were not quite accidental. You know, I tried to bring together people who I thought would want to hear from each other, but it was also a function of availability. I mean, it was accidental when people had the time. So if it seemed conscious and deliberate, it was partly that and partly serendipitous. So I'm glad
your students are very lucky.
Thank you.
Because
And
of you.
we have recorded this. The video recording, until I figure out how to compress it, is enormous, but important. So the audio recordings I'll post right away. But if you could if both presentations could be sent as PowerPoints, I could put those up particularly for the students who couldn't be here today. Several of the students actually are not feeling well, you know, whether it's Omicron or some other variation or flu, I don't know. And even one or two who are with us today are doing so, you know, with symptoms. So Columbia is going to be remote for the first 2 weeks, at least. I don't know if that'll continue. So this idea of connectivity through a screen, you know, we're trying to figure out pedagogically how to make that into a useful tool. And I haven't seen, you know, we've seen tours, we've seen walkthroughs, but I haven't seen others yet doing a kind of a field study methodology. And this is just a beginning experiment. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about how to improve it. But I think your participation today, all parts of it, help to demonstrate to me that it's plausible, that it's possible, that it's valuable and can work. So I'll conclude with that.
Rick, we are ready to continue collaborating.
All right, let's do that. And with that, enjoy the rest of your evening in Madrid, and I'll say goodbye.
Thank you, Rick.
Goodbye. Goodbye again.
Goodbye.
I will write to you. We will write to you.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.